Welcome to the Benefits webinar series. I'm Jen Sells, VP of Revenue here at Latchel, and today we are doing a spotlight on RentCheck, one of our marketplace partners. I have Tom Staggs, their head of sales, on to walk us through how RentCheck works and all of the bells and whistles that comes with adding them onto the Latchel package. I'm going to pass it over to Tom so that he can share, and then we will be answering questions at certain points during the webinar, and then also anything that's in the chat we'll ask at the end. Tom?
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. I'm really happy to be here. Obviously, thanks to Latchel for being a great partner of ours. Excited to share more with you all about what it is that we do, an overview. So I'll jump into the slides, and I'm happy to, as Jen mentioned, answer any questions that you might have. So let's get started. So what is RentCheck? We are a property inspection software. We believe that in helping property operators and property managers streamline and organize their inspection process, leveraging residents, recovering earned revenue is very impactful when it comes to resident satisfaction and owner satisfaction. We make it so easy that if you have a smartphone, you can complete a property inspection. So basically, we're property intelligence on autopilot. So some of the big problems that we see are, asset observation is very expensive and disconnected. We see lots of property managers with distributed processes around capturing the data, who's going out there, whether it's maintenance or property managers or a third-party vendor or residents. It's kind of all over the place. Obviously, having internal headcount and keeping headcount, enough headcount to make sure everything is done is challenging. And maintenance costs are increasing as we've all experienced with inflation. So the big problem here, as I alluded to a moment ago, was that typically the inspection process and the strategy around it is pretty disconnected. So you have your move-ins and your move-outs, and there's so many touch points in between. And we talk to property managers that do just move in and move out and do nothing else, and they really operate from a reactive state, a reactive point of view. Obviously, we promote getting, on the proactive side and leveraging residents for preventative maintenance. So that's the big question. How are you operating as it pertains to inspections and how maintenance ties to inspections? Is it as efficient as it could be or should be? That's a question that you have to ask yourself. I'm not necessarily asking you to answer that today. But what we understand is, rolling a truck or putting an in-house person out on a property to do an inspection is costly and can be inefficient. The move-in and move-out processes tend to be manual, whether it's, we go out and take photos and we manually upload them to the cloud, or we ask the resident to do their move-in condition form. And if they don't, they're kind of stuck with it. We also understand that a lot of tools aren't optimizing data flow, really leveraging integrations with PMS partners, or setting things to automation, whether that's automated reminders or automated inspection requests. And we understand involving the resident. And we see this. We have over 10,000 resident reviews on the App Store and the Google Play Store, directly reflective of our impact as RentCheck to the resident. The experience that we're delivering in partnership with our property managers is improving that resident satisfaction. So basically, we make it so easy that if you have a smartphone, you can complete a property inspection that's fully guided, whether that's you, the resident, or a third-party vendor, step by step, room by room. So whether you have a small portfolio and you can handle it, or you're having your residents handle it, you only want a few touch points, or maybe you have multiple markets where you need greater operational oversight to make sure that your team or the residents, everyone's doing the same process consistently, is really, really important. So our solution, as I mentioned, we are designed to be a hub where you can really thread the entire process around inspections, preventative maintenance, things like air filter changes or lawn maintenance or trash and debris or pre and post natural disaster. There's so many things that kind of go into the property condition checks throughout the tenancy. So we are designed to really marry the internal and the external inspection process, leveraging the tool to get more touch points, more visibility in the property throughout the tenancy. And the benefit of that is you increase resident satisfaction because the property condition is higher. They have skin in the game, so to speak. You impact owner satisfaction by being able to reflect that their investment, their asset, and the condition of that asset is as good or better than you promised them when you brought them on. Or if you're the owner, you're seeing direct net revenue impacts because your repair invoice cost is going to be lower on an annual basis. If you're a third-party manager, we know that repair invoice cost is a direct effect on owner churn every year. So if your repair invoice cost is more than 10% of the rent roll, you run the risk of churning that operator. And we know operators churn during the term. So whatever you can do to be more proactive, to get residents involved, get skin in the game, get more touch points, all of those things in turn impact condition of the property and everything that comes along with that. So, and to kind of getting into operational efficiency, resident guided inspections, leveraging automation, unified platform, bringing consistency, and then leveraging our integrations, say, with different PMS systems, including Latchel, to create work orders directly from the data captured during the inspection process. That's the quick overview of what we do in a nutshell, why we do what we do, and how we deliver benefit to our customers. And I am happy to answer any and all questions that anyone has.
The first one is, can you speak to resident adoption and getting residents to use the platform? Is there friction?
Great question. So there's a couple of key metrics here. And first of all, I stopped sharing, but I'm not sure if I messed up the screen or not. So I'm not sure if I can be seen, but there are a couple of key metrics as it pertains to resident satisfaction. I mentioned looking at the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, over 10,000 combined reviews with a 4.8 out of 5 rating. The on-time completion rate that our customers experience on average is between 80 and 85%. We do encourage motivating residents, whether that's with positive or negative incentives, and usually incentivizing in some way is going to lead to a 90+% on-time completion rate. That is very, very good. But I think even more importantly is the revision rate. The revision rate is less than 5%, which means that in some way the resident didn't deliver, whether they took a blurry photo, they skipped something, took a photo of their kneecap, whatever the case may be. When you're talking tens of thousands, less than 5% are requested to do some sort of revision.
Do you see more residents putting in requests because they have RentCheck?
I would say, well, this is an interesting question because we're kind of toying with the idea of allowing residents to, if the property manager wants to allow residents to flag items and kind of give a sense of what's going on. I would say I don't really hear a lot of that specific feedback where they saw residents requesting more maintenance. I think it would be naive to say that it might be the case, where if you haven't been out on a property, and we do see this with some of the operators where they haven't touched a property in 2 or 3 years. And so when they start gaining insights, pretty quickly they go, hey, we need to get out there and fix X, Y, and Z. By having the resident do simply a periodic, stand back from each corner and take a photo, highlight damage. Yep, they'll typically find some things that they weren't aware of because they haven't been out there. No one's touched it. They haven't asked the resident to give a condition update. That usually is remedied pretty quickly, right? So once you're like, oh, we need to get out there and fix a bunch of stuff, then you put residents on a scheduled maintenance check and you stay on top of them.
The next is, do you see any decrease in turn time?
Decrease in turn time. So I don't have exact metrics. We're actually doing a little bit of a data analysis right now around turns. what we do see and what we're hearing, and this is some anecdotal evidence, but from current customers talking about reducing turn time, and we do have a few case studies basically saying anywhere from a half to a third, because they're able to say get a pre-move out from the resident, get some some items where they want to say, hey resident, you need to take a look at this, fix them, take care of them before the actual move out happens. Pardon me. So they're getting a bit of a head start on the turn. I don't have some hard data around specifically like change in turn time. We are currently doing a little bit of that analysis right now.
And what other systems do you integrate with?
Yeah, so Appfolio, Rent Manager, Latchel, obviously. We're Zapier integrated, so we have some basically some templates set up to connect with Lead Simple. Also, we have an open API, so we have the ability to set up custom integrations depending on your use case or your portfolio size and the needs around that. So we've done custom integrations with Snowflake and Salesforce and proprietary software that are built in house.
And what demographic does RentCheck mostly serve? I think they're asking like multifamily, single family.
Great question. Great question. So our primary focus has been single family. So, and we're in all 50 states and in Canada as well. So single family is our bread and butter. We do have lots of customers that are mixed portfolio, whether it's small multifamily or quads, dupes, quads, whatever the case may be. So usually it's scattered site. If that answers your question, hopefully it does. But as far as like property class, doesn't matter. In fact, you didn't ask this question, but I think it's important. We see the same resident adoption and on-time completion rates, revision rates, whether it's C class or A class. Doesn't really make a difference.
Do the residents need a smartphone? There's a two-part to this. So the residents need a smartphone, and can our staff use the app as well?
Of course, yes. We are built for both internal teams and for residents. Yes, they do have to have a smartphone or a tablet that's updated that can download our app where it can run. So that short answer is yes. And then for the internal team and for the resident, it doesn't really matter. You could, if your kid knows how to read and take photos and type notes or voice to text, and anybody can do it, right?
And then the last question we have on here is about onboarding. What does onboarding setup look like with RentCheck?
Great question. So onboarding is very, very simple. Usually our customers are up and running within 48 hours. All we need is to understand, are we leveraging an integration? Who is that with? Make those connections. Through our integrations, they are, I would say, full cycle. So what I mean by that is our database is updated on a daily basis. So I'm going to use Appfolio, for example. Appfolio will update RentCheck every day. We will automatically push back inspection reports to Appfolio every 12 hours. And then work orders can be built, literal Appfolio work orders can be natively built in RentCheck and are sent instantaneously. So where I'm going with that is once we make the connection, it's as quick as the connection is made. And then from there, it's a matter of training the team. So usually that can all happen within 48 hours. There is no learning curve with RentCheck. You pick it up and you just start using it.
And can you just give a high-level overview of what the integration with Latchel looks like?
I can. So, well, I wonder if I can show what it actually looks like, if you'll give me just a moment. But I can speak to it for sure. So we have a native integration with Latchel. And what that means is in our web dashboard, once an inspection is completed, and I'm going to show you an inspection really fast here. Let me take screen share from you here and make sure. Can you see my screen?
No.
Great.
Oh, now I can.
Awesome. So I'm going to quickly jump to an inspection. And you'll notice that items have been flagged for maintenance. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time here. We have limited time, but basically, once you've reviewed the inspection and you want to then use the flags for a Latchel work order, you simply highlight the flags that you want, hit create Latchel work order. You add in the Latchel property, and because you guys don't have 2800 Bell Street, you add the property access instructions. And then from there, you've kind of follow the method and the model that you would with Latchel. So adding instructions for the vendor, use the default dispatch settings, or choose the vendor from your preferred vendor list. And then once you click create, it will move into Latchel, and then Latchel does what they do best.
Thanks for sharing.
Does that answer the question?
That answered the question. Thanks for joining. If you guys have any questions on RentCheck, you'll get an email after this, and Tom's email will be attached to that. And of course, you can always reach out to your Latchel customer success manager or to myself to talk about adding RentCheck into your benefits package. Thanks so much, Tom, for being with us today.
Thanks, Jen. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Alrighty.